Hyundai just released the EPA range figures for the Ioniq 6. And in addition to that, we also have a rough release time frame now from Hyundai. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're talking Ioniq 6. Now here are the official release notes. As you can see, we've got range figures and we have this release date saying spring of 2023. So that's pretty soon. And going back to this range chart, you'll see some crazy high numbers. With the rear-wheel drive SE, you can get as high as 361 miles of range, and if you go with the all-wheel drive SE, that's still 316 miles of range. Now remember, this is the same battery pack that we see in the Ioniq 5, and these numbers are way higher. But there's some weird things going on as well. Let me show you what I mean. So the first weird thing I noticed was this range difference. Looking at the rear-wheel drive SE long range, you'll notice it has a 56-mile advantage over the next rear-wheel drive model. And in fact, the SEL and the Limited are both rated at 305 miles of range. Now, when we really think about the differences between an SE and an SEL and a Limited, there's not that much going on. I mean, I would expect the SEL and the Limited to be a little heavier. So that means the SE with 18-inch wheels is getting 56 miles better range just because of the fact that it's using 18s instead of 20s. And that's crazy. If that's really what's happening, that would be amazing. That means everyone should just switch to the 18s and call it a day, because you'll get way better mileage. And then we have the all-wheel drive SE long range. Now with the Ioniq 6, it's rated at 316 miles of range, which is incredible. But then remember that it's running on 18s, and when we look at the other versions of the all-wheel drive model, those are running 20s, and now all of a sudden we're looking at 270 miles of range. So essentially what Hyundai is telling us, or the EPA is telling us, is with the Ioniq 6 all-wheel drive, running 18s versus 20-inch wheels is a difference of 46 miles of range. So again, in this scenario, then I would absolutely run the 18s. But there's something weird at play, because if you go look at the 2023 Ioniq 5, you'll notice that across the range, it's listed as 266 miles of range for the SE long range, the SEL long range, and the Limited. But there is a wheel size difference. The SE and the SEL run 19s, whereas the Limited runs 20s. But across the range, they give it an EPA rating of 266. So for the Ioniq 5, they're saying wheel size doesn't make a difference, but for the Ioniq 6, they're saying it makes a huge difference. So something's a little strange, right? And then there's this last thing, which is the fact that the Ioniq 6 is touted as being one of the most efficient EVs ever created. In fact, within the release notes, Hyundai says it's near the top, right behind some Lucid Airs. And based on this, I think it's number 3 or something like that, which is incredible. And it really shows with the rear-wheel drive SE long range and the all-wheel drive SE long range. They get just incredible range figures. But let's dive into the SEL and the Limited trim. Now the weird thing here is that with the all-wheel drive SEL and the Limited trim of the Ioniq 6, it gets 270 miles of range. Now remember, this is supposed to be one of the most efficient EVs ever created. But if you look at the Ioniq 5, also all-wheel drive SEL or Limited, well, it gets 266 miles of range. So you're saying for all the crazy efficiency aerodynamic enhancements to the Ioniq 6 that it only bests the Ioniq 5 by 4 miles of range when you're driving an all-wheel drive model? Again, only for the SEL and the Limited, because if you go with the SE, it absolutely blows the Ioniq 5 out of the water. And same deal with the rear-wheel drive models. If you're looking at an SEL or a Limited, comparing the Ioniq 6 to the Ioniq 5, there's only a 2-mile range difference. But then when you jump to the SE, then there's just this huge 40-something mile difference. So maybe there's something else going on with the SE. Maybe they did something special to it. I don't know. But at least based on what I know with the Ioniq 5, things are really odd. But hopefully in a good way. I hope to be able to range test these cars. Hyundai, if you're listening, send me an Ioniq 6. I would love to range test, because with my Ioniq 5, as you guys know, I typically get pretty good efficiency. I've seen anywhere from 340, 350, even 360 miles of range before. And for my 2022 Hyundai Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive limited, this thing's only rated at 256 miles of range. And so that means I've managed to beat it by about 100 miles. Now, if I can add that 100 miles to an Ioniq 6 in the all-wheel drive SE or the rear-wheel drive SE, that means I'm looking at 400 to 450 miles of range. If that's truly possible, that's insane, especially out of a battery pack this size. What do we learn from this whole EPA range list? Well, if you want big range numbers with the Ioniq 6, the SE trim and rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive somehow both just completely defy all expectations, and they get these crazy high numbers. But all the other trim configurations, well, they're only slightly better than the current Ioniq 5. Like, as in a 4-mile difference for the all-wheel drive SEL and Limited, and just a 2-mile difference for the rear-wheel drive SEL and Limited. So maybe there is something different going on with the SE long-range trim that we just don't know about. And hey, if going to 18-inch wheels really means such a big difference, then maybe Hyundai should offer buyers the option to spec different wheel sizes from factory, because personally I would happily take 18-inch wheels over 20-inch wheels if I could see a 40 to 50 mile range difference. But I would still want the amenities of an SEL or a limited trim. So definitely some strange things going on with the EPA range numbers here, but really excited to see real-world testing. So that kind of wraps this one up. Now, it's been a whirlwind trying to keep track of just the new EV landscape and all the changes that are happening. We had the Tesla price drops, we had the Mach E price drops, we had the EV9 range and price leaks, and now we have the Ioniq 6 range estimate and release date. So just a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to try my best to keep tabs on all of it and keep you guys up to date. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one.